everyone. It's Susannah here with my Best Life podcast, recording from home this week. But, it's the holidays and it's busy and, everyone's got a million things going on. And I actually kind of like being able to do this from home and just kind of relaxed in a very chill, no pressure environment. And that's why it's perfect for this week's guest. I cannot wait for you guys to hear from her. When I think of chill and, very relaxed, she comes to mind. She's just got this softness about her that is easygoing, and I've loved her from the moment I talked to her for the first time, several years ago. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce Miss Shahada Karim. How are you, Shahada? Nice to see you.
I'm good. Nice to see you too.
Thanks for joining me on this crazy busy week. I know I know for me it's busy, but I appreciate you taking the time out and joining me from home.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So I want to introduce you to the listeners and the watchers. So Shahada Karim believes the most effective way to connect is through plain speech, clear direction, and decisive action. She believes that true wellness comes from the inside out, and that true success lies in community. In 2003, she founded Habibi Bath and Body, an organic skincare company. But she wanted to go beyond skincare and really address the health of the human body in a realistic and sustainable way. So in 2012, she received her first certification in Hatha Yoga, and she continues with certifications in Hot Power Fusion, weighted yoga, and yin yoga. She also received specialized training in yoga for cancer and yoga nidra. Her focus is on anatomy and physiology, energetic cultivation and transfer, intelligence in sound and sequencing, and breath work for grounding and expansion. In 2017, she expanded her studies to Ayurveda and its specific connection to nutrition and physical expression. And in 2018, she founded Habibi Sport, focusing on specific choices and habits to encourage health and wellness for life. She developed the Habibi body technique, which uses center-out movement for a strong, lean, and flexible body. Her ultimate mission is to help every human fall in love with themselves and make the most of their lives in the healthiest way possible. Now you guys know why she's my guest, because it's what I'm all about, and I just love it. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to pick your brain today. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So, based on all of that I just read, where are you with all of that now? Like, what's going on with you and your bit? Because every time I see you, you've got a new product, you've got new things going on. I'm like, this woman never stops. So, what are you doing now?
Well, now we're headed into the new year. So we have the community cleanse coming up January 1st. And the first of a monthly series that we were doing pre-pandemic, we've started them up again. They're fitness parties.
Oh.
They're fitness parties that incorporate physical activity, wellness. We have Habibi body products there, and community. So the idea is to bring like-minded souls and bodies into a space where they can free themselves from whatever at the moment is vexing them. We turn the lights out, we turn on black lights, there's glow sticks and glow rods, and there's lots of music. It's just a way to really decompress and let go and get a solid workout in the process. A couple pieces of clothing, maybe a power detox or a body balm or something to make you feel really good and take home with you. So for the month of January, the theme for the January party is You Are Magic. So we theme the party differently, and we have music and sounds and colors that match that theme so that people just feel really good about being there.
Yeah. Where do you hold it?
It depends. So the locations change depending on what our needs are. What we're doing this year because of the pandemic and because we're keeping things really, really, really strict, you have to be vaccinated to come to the venue. And we're only holding it at 25% capacity. So in January, we're doing it at a studio in North Hollywood. And when the person buys the ticket, if they pass the specs, which is that they have to send proof of vaccination, then they'll be emailed the code to get into the parking structure and then to get into the building.
Look at that. So it changes each month.
Yes.
This next one.
Depending on what we're doing and what our needs are. Because of the pandemic, we just have to be very, very specific. Before the pandemic, it didn't matter. We were holding at the same studio every month. Everything was great.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really a thing, but we have to be super careful and we are very responsible when it comes to our guests. So we need to make sure everyone is not only safe, but also feels safe. So it matters the size and the ceiling height and all of that those are the things we take into consideration.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, so I never got to experience your wellness fitness parties. That sounds amazing. Because all I ever got to do, which is all I ever got to do, were your community cleanses.
Yeah.
And I have to tell everyone, you know, listening and watching, you know, if you get a chance, you know, I'm going to give you an opportunity later to like where people can find you and sign up for these. I highly, highly, highly recommend joining one of these community cleanses with Shahada and her group of friends. And, you know, these people that sign up, it's like every time there is one, everyone kind of comes back because how good you feel at the end of 28 days, you have no idea how good you feel when you eat nothing but whole foods and you cook for yourself. And then weekly, you know, check-ins, and there's a lot of support. So it's not just you're, you know, struggling by yourself. You're not struggling. You're like thriving, eating more food than you've ever eaten in your life. And at the end of 28 days, you feel like a new person. So if anybody out there has an opportunity to join, I highly, 2 thumbs up, 4 thumbs up. I highly recommend because it was so much fun with you. And that whole group.
They are the basis of what I believe in, which is that sustainable success comes from community. I think, especially when it comes to things like food, I find the approach to food in a public sense very false. I think that we try to approach food in an analytical way, and the truth is that food is not analytical. Yeah. It's emotional, it's comfort, it's happiness, it's a friend, it's a blanket. And if we're honest about that, then we can be honest about what we need to thrive. There is no reason in the world that you should suffer with terrible food or terrible supplements just so you can look a certain way. I don't believe in that at all. I do believe in enjoying your food, but I also believe in conscious eating. So I don't believe that you should just dive headfirst into whatever your body is thinking that it wants, because it's not really the body that's asking for it. It's the mind, it's the emotion that's asking for a thing. So if we use that tool and ask the body what it needs, because people are like, oh, intuitively, I want cake. Or, you know, consciously, I want donuts. You don't want donuts, you want sugar. Yeah. So your body wants sugar, and sugar is not the enemy. Sugar is not a terrible thing. Processed sugar, which is a completely different conversation, that's a terrible thing. But sugar in its natural state is not a bad thing for you. It is how your brain works. So if you're feeling fatigued, right. It's like why if you eat something or you have something sweet when you're feeling run down, you go, oh, okay, you know what? I'm up, I'm awake, I can do this. You're suddenly focused because your brain's like, okay, I have fuel, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We understand that. We just approach it in a responsible way.
Yeah, you mentioned conscious eating. Could you go into that a little bit further? What do you mean by conscious eating?
Conscious eating in the most rudimentary sense is having a conversation with yourself. What do I want? Why do I want it? What am I feeling? Sometimes that's even the first question. What am I feeling? Because the triggers for us that drive us into unhealthy eating habits or imbalanced eating habits, they're usually emotional.
Yeah.
I had a stressful day. I'm tired because I was up all night dealing with whatever I was dealing with. And so now I just want a donut and some coffee. Please don't talk to me till I have my coffee. I had an argument with my friend or a relative, or I just don't feel good, or it's cold and I want to be wrapped up in something. And sometimes being wrapped up means lasagna or German chocolate cake, right? These are things that we associate with comfort. When you consciously understand that and you have a conversation with yourself, how do I feel? What do I want? What is the best way to get what I need and still be happy?
Yeah.
I do not believe in suffering.
No suffering. No. I mean, life has its suffering, but life already has enough suffering.
Right.
It shouldn't be something you suffer over, or suffer through.
And it shouldn't feel like if you step to the left or to the right off of your healthy eating path, that this is a reason to beat yourself up in perpetuity. I don't believe in that. I believe in forgiving yourself and course correcting and moving on. No one does 100% of anything 100% of the time. And it is folly to believe that you are somehow the exception.
Yeah, exactly. So you get, a group of people to come together, and what's the process that they go through? I already know the process, but I want people to know the process. So like when someone comes to you, how do you handle the newest person, that comes to you saying like, oh, I don't feel good. I feel, I need help.
I initially love to have a conversation with them, because if you just go off of the words on a page or the words in an email or a text, you can't account for nuance. You can't account for emotion. You can't account sometimes for frustration or any emotion that will tell you a little bit more about what's happening. The truth about a lot of conversations, and I'm sure anyone in the nutrition industry will tell you this, is that the conversations aren't always honest. It's always like, oh, no, I really do eat healthy, and I don't understand why I feel so bloated, or I don't understand why I can't sleep, or I don't understand why I'm constipated. So we just start to have a conversation about that healthy picture that's been presented to me. And typically, even if I ask someone to keep a food diary, they're going to keep a food diary of all of the things that they think are acceptable to me.
Yeah.
Right? For 3 days, I'm going to tell them, keep a food diary for 3 days, and they're going to keep that food diary, and it's going to be chicken breast and a little asparagus and protein shake. It's going to look like what they think healthy eating looks like. And I can tell a lot from a food diary. I can look at a food diary and I can tell what's going on, even if you are on your best behavior. And the 3-day food diary is an extreme case. Typically, I will take a person right away. We'll send them a questionnaire and they'll answer questions about their daily habits, which is very important. It's very important that we shape people's nutrition according to who they are naturally. If you try to force them into an unnatural space, it's not sustainable. Anyone can diet for a little bit. We're not asking you to diet. We're asking you to shift your relationship with food. And that means we have to start from an organic space.
Yeah.
So they get those questionnaires, they fill them out and send them back. If I've also had an additional conversation and I've picked up a little bit more in the conversation and made some notes, it's pretty easy from that point to shape the plan. Because we shape the plan based on what we think you're most likely to be successful with. If you hate Chinese food, and I put a Chinese dish on your menu, you're not going to eat it because you just told me that is your least favorite thing. If you can't stand Brussels sprouts, I'm not going to put Brussels sprouts and tell you, oh, Brussels sprouts are good for you, you're supposed to eat them. You're going to suffer through them. You're going to be resentful that I'm forcing you to eat them. And when the program is over, you're never going to go back to them.
Exactly. So, and then the questionnaire part as well. And when you're designing the plan for the individual, this is kind of where Ayurveda comes into play, where it begins to come into your relationship with your understanding of nutrition and the body, and then them. So can you describe how you use Ayurvedic philosophies and medicine and ideas, basically, and how you approach the individualized plan for each person?
On a rudimentary level, we approach it according to your elemental makeup. Everybody has an elemental makeup: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Everybody has some form of that element, of those elements moving around their bodies, but all of us are dominant somewhere. right? So when you get your constitution quiz, you're asked a series of questions that don't make sense. You're going to look at the questions and be like, I don't even know why you're asking me about the size of my nose or the thickness of my hair. I don't, okay, I'll just answer this question, right? But it actually tells me a lot about your energetic makeup. And your energetic makeup also tells me what you are most likely to be attracted to, what you are most likely to stick with, and what you're going to find happiness in. We want you to be happy when you're eating the food. It's really just unrealistic to have you suffer through this for the sake of, you know, getting a better night's sleep, because as soon as the program is over, you're like, you know what? It's not worth it. I need that pizza. I need whatever it is that you reach for when, you know, the chips are down. You're going to reach for that thing because I'm done with this diet and I'm over it. That's why we don't call it a diet. And that's why we keep you in a community that keeps you encouraged. I do not expect you to do 100% of everything 100% of the time. My goal is that you take some of the choices and some of the natural inclinations that you discovered about yourself in the program, and you take it into the rest of your life and expand from it. Keep going, keep growing, keep exploring things, try new things, share your recipes. If you get really excited because you figured something out, please tell the community. Everyone can benefit from the sharing of information.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so blown away by the vanilla beans. That part to me, like, it still is like I have a jar full of vanilla beans right now. I never had vanilla beans, like the whole bean. Never had that before.
Wonderful.
I considered it a food, you know, but it's a whole food. It's got antioxidants and vitamins and minerals and all kinds of stuff that you need. Plus it's delicious, a little on the pricey side, but actually like something I use often-ish, you know. I never used it before. I mean, joining you and the community cleanse like introduced me to things and ingredients that I had never toyed around with. I never thought,
I love that.
Yeah, like let me put this vanilla bean in with a sweet potato and make a smoothie out of it. Like, what? Who does that? And then it's delicious.
And it tastes like comfort.
It tastes like comfort. It tastes like pumpkin pie.
Right. It tastes like a hug. And that's what we're looking for. And you don't have to feel guilty about having this hug that is this meal or this smoothie or this concoction that you've made for yourself, because everything in it is good for you. So you're satisfied. It tastes good. You enjoyed consuming it. And afterwards, you don't hop on the shame train and beat yourself up about it.
Oh, the shame train, you know, this restrictive culture that it's pervasive. They get you when you're, you know, and I say I don't even know who they are, but I just know that they are present, and, you know, they kind of tap into your brain at a very young age. And we just grow up with this idea that, you know, you can't really indulge. Don't indulge. There's something wrong with you if you indulge. You're weak, or if you're a woman, you know, there's all kinds of things that come with a woman who indulges,
right?
You know, and how that interplays with food, and then this skinny, weird body thing that we're obsessed with, you know, which cannot be achieved if you're eating like it's just not, you know, like this rail thin look, you know, and just this very restrictive, like I have desires, but I'm not allowed to tap into them. I'm not allowed to indulge in my desires. My desires are somehow bad, you know.
What a racket that is, right? And it's to keep you wanting. And keeping you wanting will keep you paying.
Yes.
Get down to the reason that we perpetuate these messages in the health and fitness industry. It is so that you will continue to be separated from your money. The point that I always try to make with the cleanses is that once you invest in a cleanse, that's it.
Yeah.
You got it for life. You can add to it, subtract from it, mess with it, come back, recalibrate it, but you now have the blueprint. It is you, and it's based on you, and it will change as you change, but you also have the tools to adapt with it. And if you have a question, ask the community.
Yeah,
it's so for life. And I don't want you to keep paying in. I think that that is such a racket that you have to keep paying in every time you're done with a program. Imagine if I was asking someone to pay in every single time we did a community cleanse. That's insane. We do 4 community cleanses a year. I don't want people to stress out about whether or not they can pay for the next cleanse. That's horrible. What kind of community is that?
Yeah. No, there's so many other ways to make money. Like, there's an abundance of money out there. It's not, but when it comes to things like this, to really get people to just the amount of value, and I can attest to it being one of your, clients, like the amount of value that you get when you've paid for something and then it sticks with you for life. Plus you get that, support, you're a text or an email away. And then also the Facebook community and the 4, cleanses a year, the value that comes out of that's why someone should come to you over someone else who maybe does a similar thing, because honestly, value is one of the most, to me, that's up there for me. Just when I spend my money, what do I want to get out of it? Well, with you and what you offer, so much value. My husband and I had so much fun, I love
you and Andy. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you had a good time. And I want to keep it so that we always know that there's a place to go. And if you don't feel comfortable with the community, again, I'm a email or a text message away. And I always tell people, if I don't get back to you, it's because I'm either teaching someone or I'm asleep. So I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah.
Ignore anyone.
What part of your life were you faced with this overwhelming desire to shake up the nutrition understanding and industry, like body nutrition? Like, what happened to you that made you?
That wasn't my initial intention. My initial intention wasn't to shake anything up. My initial intention was to just get everybody in the same place, because I would have these random conversations, like just with people, and I always got the same response. Oh my God, you should do something. This is great. We're standing in line at Trader Joe's and you're talking to me about this thing that I'm holding in my hand, but you should do something. That's really where it came from. Personally, I come from a background that placed a lot of emphasis on physical appearance because I was athletic and I danced as a young person. And then when I got older, I went into the yoga community, which, as much as we perpetuate body acceptance on the surface, is not really that friendly to certain bodies in reality. And when I decided to start studying, that was in 2012, I was the oldest person in the training. Most of the people in training were 18 and could eat, an extra large pizza and nothing would happen. The body just when you're young, your body's like, whatever, like it just takes what it needs. And then like you
sleep and you lose 6 pounds overnight.
You can sleep for like 2.5 hours and you're fine. Everything's fine. You have 2 sips of water, you're hydrated. Like
exactly.
But one of the things that happened during my training is, because especially the first few trainings, because they were bigger trainings, so we had to cram a certain amount of hours in a certain amount of time. So we spent a lot of time in study, and we spent a lot of time in modules and feedback. There was a lot of work that had to be done. So there was a lot of unhealthy eating that happened during the training because we were just trying to stay alive. People were just trying to stay awake. We've been going for 16 hours. We're exhausted. And you expect me to tell you about the breakdown of the knee, and I can't even see straight. So we sit around and really, especially understanding that. So when I went into my first training, I was in my mid-30s, and understanding that, in a 35-year-old body, that's rough. Some of our trainings are like right next door to Paquito Mas, which makes like the best burritos on the face of this earth. And I was like, if I have one more burrito, like I'm gonna pass out. There is no way but it was right there. So we just kind of get up, go get dinner or go get lunch or whatever, and come back and finish working. But you're sitting the whole time. You're barely moving your body because all you're doing is shoving information into your brain. And I would go home exhausted and achy and tired and unable to keep up with anything else in my life. And I kept thinking, like, there has to be a better way. I can't live off of processed foods in the interest of doing something that'll ultimately be good. But how can I lead by example if I feel like trash? I can't sleep. My hips hurt, my knees hurt, my stomach hurts. I have a headache most of the time. I'm not sleeping because even though I close my eyes, there's like Sanskrit going through my brain. I get, it was just a lot, and I had to start being honest with myself. You're not a kid. Everybody in here is 18. You're not 18. You got to take care of yourself. You got to figure out how you're going to do this. So I was my first customer. And I was like, okay, if we're going to walk the talk, like, what do I look like learning about Ayurveda and not practicing Ayurveda? Right? Yeah. What do I look like learning about nutrition and not practicing healthy nutrition, real balanced eating? And I can cook. And that was really the first conversation I had with myself. You have a kitchen. Why are you not using it?
Yeah.
You know how to make food. Make food. How can you make food in such a way that there isn't that 1 or 2 or 5 ingredients that you kind of go, no, this is not healthy, but we're just going to do this for this. I wanted to eliminate that. I wanted to eliminate that in cooking and in recipes. When I scour a recipe, so as you know, sometimes I'll find recipes all the time. And if I find a recipe, I'll scan it first to make sure it's acceptable to put in the community. Yeah. And I cannot tell you how many recipes I've come across where there's been 1 ingredient that's unacceptable under any circumstances, or sometimes 2 or 3 ingredients. And I'm like, nope. And that will not go in the group because I'm not interested in putting something up with a lot of caveats. This is a good recipe, but you can use this, or you can only have this, you can only have like an ounce of this, or I detest portion restrictions. I cannot stand counting. I think counting is a great way to set yourself up for failure. I think it also works on the assumption that something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
So you now have to count because you can't be trusted to eat the food in a responsible way. So we now have to restrict you. Yeah. And I find that very detrimental to the psyche. I find that detrimental to the human spirit, that I'm now telling you that, there's something wrong with you. And that's why you're not allowed to have this thing.
Do you find that women or men have a harder time with the learning how to feed themselves? Is it a men or women thing? Or is it?
It's actually pretty even. It depends on the personality, not the gender. It depends on the personality. If you have a personality that's open and that's malleable, no problem. If you have a personality that's closed, if you have a personality where a person listens with their mouth, so they listen just to respond. So everything that you say, they're like, no, but I do that, or I don't have time, or I can't, this not going to work for me. Or if that's the personality, they're going to have a harder time.
Yeah. And how do you handle those people that are like full of objections, full of, that aren't open and malleable? And, how do you approach those kind of interactions?
It's a process. So initially I just listen and I ask questions. But as we progress, if I start running up against roadblocks, especially if we're actually in the program, like we're kind of chucking along and it's been like a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and I'm still really kind of running into a wall with this person, I will ask them what they want. What do you want? What do you hope to get out of this? And what do you want? Because if you want to shift your relationship with food, you have to do the work to make that happen. It's your body. It's not my body. It doesn't matter what I say. It's your body. You have to live in it. And if it doesn't feel good and you really do want it to feel better, would you be interested in doing the work to have that done? Some of the main questions I get is, why can't I have my food delivered? Because if someone else is cooking for you, you are not taking responsibility for what's going into your body.
And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. Yeah.
You're making somebody else take responsibility for you. You're paying someone to take that burden on. And they don't have to do that. The person who has to live with you is you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You manage to feed yourself every day. You can go in the kitchen for 10 minutes and put something together.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so one of the parts about the Ayurveda that I loved so much, and the energy elements, and one of my biggest takeaways that I always still think of it. So, I still do like celery and cucumber and ginger just to kind of get me going, because I have that very earthy, colder, I need to get the fires going. And
Yes.
I remember that you shared with me that anything that's hot, that stirs up the heat, because I have that earthy, colder, energy element. So I add something spicy to almost, not my oatmeal, but almost everything,
Love
just to give
that.
it, just to keep my digestion going, because I know that my personal digestion is a little bit slower. And so to heat me up, lots of ginger and chilies and, cayenne and all that good stuff. So,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what you took. That's what you took with you. You
Yeah.
understood something very fundamental about yourself,
Yeah.
and you made an adjustment to address that thing. That really is the crux of what we're trying to achieve. We want to educate people about who they are from the inside out.
Yes.
If the mission is to help everyone fall in love with themselves, they first have to know who they are.
Yeah.
Who am I? How am I made up? What are my proclivities? What am I attracted to? What am I most likely to do? What am I most likely to abandon? What do I respond to in a positive way? And can I make choices every day that lead me in a direction of feeling really good all the way around?
Yeah. I think people have I don't know, maybe a blockage or an idea that you can't feel good all the time, or that it's not possible to feel good all the time, or that you shouldn't, that you're supposed to kind of, have these ebbs and flows. Life is kind of a little bit that way, but I think in general, like, you should be able to feel okay a lot of the time.
Recognize the ebbs and flows and be able to adjust with minimal effort to
Mm-hmm.
those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be that you're in a euphoric state all the time, and it doesn't have to be that you're down in the dumps all the time. We do move very naturally between elation and depression. That is the natural state of the human, right? We don't want to hang out in any of those places for any really long period of time because it is detrimental to us. But finding the balance between those two ends of the spectrum is really the goal. And with the nutrition plan, it aims to find that balance through food.
Yeah.
And then you can move into other things. You can move into fitness. You can move into meditations. You can move into things that also help to strike that balance in your whole being. Mm. But if we can start with something like, how do I feed myself every day?
You got to start
very practical.
Yeah, you got to start with what am I eating? Because we are exactly what we eat. So, who do I have to become? Who do I have to be to become that person that I want to be? Well, I have to become the kind of person who adds ginger to everything. I have to be the kind of person who, wakes up and has water before I have anything else. I have to be the kind of person who checks in with myself. Like, I eat something and let me just see, and ask myself, do I like it? Even if I've been eating it my whole life, maybe I'm just eating it because I think I'm supposed to, or maybe I'm just eating it because my family says that I have to, or all kinds of ideas, right? And really just being honest with ourselves and checking in and all of that, so that you can then become that person who, if something goes off, it's just a minor tweak. It's not a hospital visit, or pills, or, some other major intervention. So, I know you didn't set out to shake the nutrition industry, but you're shaking the tree. And it's so good.
And now we're kind of saying that. Now we're trying to say we disrupt diet culture. We are now loudly saying that this is what we do. Before it was kind of like, oh, well, if you want to come talk to us, it's okay. We're going to figure it out. But now we're standing up and we're being pretty loud about it, because I do find that this is a fundamental human right. You should be able to feel good in your person, in this body that you occupy. You should not suffer because of what you're feeding it.
Yeah.
If you want to feel better, talk to us. And I tell people all the time, if I'm not for you, I'm not offended. If our program is not for you, that's fine. Find something that makes you happy. Be happy.
Be happy. Absolutely. So what does Habibi stand for?
It means my love.
My love.
Yeah. Love and I use it as it's a term of endearment. So it means sweetheart, or my love, or my dear. And we use it to speak to ourselves. So I named the companies as a way to reinforce the habit of loving yourself. My love, address yourself with loving words and loving actions. Show yourself that you are in love by taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself should not be a chore. It should be enjoyable. If it's a chore, then this is a good opportunity to have a conversation about why.
Yeah.
Why is it hard to take care of yourself? Why is it hard to eat foods that serve your body, or to use products that serve your body? To use things in your home, to address yourself, to look at your reflection with a smile instead of a scowl, instead of automatically picking out the things about your body that you've decided that you don't like, or you decided are defective in some way. Why do we reach for that? Because we've been taught to. We've been conditioned to criticize everything about ourselves. And then we turn that, when we're done with ourselves, we turn that criticism out onto the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's that pervasiveness, right? It's just so, it's this toxic relationship that we have with ourselves, you know, when we don't know any better, you know, but at some point we have to take responsibility and go, okay, this isn't working. You know, I'm not my fullest. I don't even know what my fullest self is. Like, where do I even begin? So, you know, and that's really up to the individual to take stock of their life and ask for help. You know,
because only you know how you feel.
Yeah,
I can tell you how you feel all day long, and it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. You know how you feel. You're in your body.
Right. Exactly. So if you're, so I see on Instagram all the time, you've got like a whole line of like beautiful yoga clothing. What other like, could you talk to me about your product line? Because that didn't really exist as far as I knew, like a couple years ago, and it's just blowing up. I see it everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at her yoga pants and her bras and her all the stuff. So talk to me about all the products you have.
So all the products follow the philosophy of loving yourself. I personally love the clothes. I love the clothes. The clothes are like a hug. They're so easy to wear, and they're easy to wear across a spectrum of bodies. I teach yoga. There is nothing worse than going into a forward fold and your pants rolling, or trying to do something and you get up and you got to pull and adjust and shift and make sure nothing fell out because what you were wearing was not made for your body, right? I have curves. Curves do not do well in a lot of yoga clothes because like the pants are just straight up and down. There's no room for my hips. There's no room for my butt. Definitely no room for my thighs. And then either the waist is too big or the waist is so constricted that I can't breathe. The bras like are not made for me. It's just, I'm constantly trying to figure out how to workshop my clothes so that I don't look crazy when I'm practicing.
Yeah.
So when I went to research clothing, I tried on a lot of clothes before I made a decision, and I did not make a decision based on price. Usually when people start an apparel line, they start an apparel line based on what they can get the most of for the least amount of money. Yeah. Well, I already know what that feels like on my body, and I'm not going to wear the clothes. So if I'm not going to wear the clothes, why am I going to sell the clothes? You know? So I went with feel. How do I feel? Do I feel good in these clothes? Do I feel like I'm put together? Like I'm not just coming in here haphazard, trying to figure it out and hoping nobody notices that, you know, these things don't quite fit. Something's a little bit too big or a little bit too small, and I'm just trying to work through it. That's why I chose the manufacturer. They're based out of Italy, and they specialize in seamless compression. Wow. And I'm all for it. And it's not compression that's uncomfortable, so you don't feel bound. Our mantra for the clothes is moving clothes that move with you. They move with you. And I have not heard a single person who has the clothes tell me that it's uncomfortable. They're always like, oh my God, I can sleep in these. Okay, love that. Sleep in them. Do yoga in them. Go to the grocery store. Walk your dog. Do what you need to do, right? But be happy and feel good. And know that you're being taken care of. So that was really my thing for going after pretty much everything, including you have the meal prep containers. That was a really big deal. I had to make sure you could put them in the freezer. You know, I need to make sure they wouldn't pop as soon as you like accidentally put them under hot water or something like that. So that was. It took research, you know, to make sure that the glass was pressurized and that it wasn't going to freak anybody out. Like nothing bad was going to happen to it. Same thing with the smoothie container. So when we first started selling the smoothie bottles or the meal prep bottles, that was 2.5 years ago. I still have my original one.
Yeah.
And I dropped it. I dropped it on the ground. I left it on top of the car one time. It falls out of my bag, hits the ground. Nothing is ever. I'm always so stressed. Like, oh my God, I finally cracked this thing. I have not cracked it yet. So I'm very, very, very proud of the quality. Very proud of the blocks. The blocks were a conversation. I had a conversation with the manufacturer. She's like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "I want to be able to sit on them, roll on them, stand on them. So you can stand on the blocks because there are two types of cork. They're coarse and a fine, and they're beveled. So a lot of times if you get a cork block, the edges aren't beveled, they're sharp, so you can't lay on them. So if you lay on them, like you gotta scoot around and make sure they just don't poke you in the back or poke you in the side. The ones we got are beveled. They're shaved around the edges so that it's a soft rectangle. So you feel supported, but you're not uncomfortable, like nothing's jamming into your skin. And then the rest of the products, the wellness products, we manufacture through Habibi Bath and Body. So they carry the same ingredient quality. They carry the same intentionality. Everything that we make in the skincare line is designed to do something for you beyond just its primary function. So the primary function of a lotion, right, is to make sure that your skin is moisturized. Our lotion is also aromatherapeutic, and it is heavy on the oils. There is no alcohol in it, so it will not evaporate. So the lotion comes off when you take it off.
Wow. That sounds amazing. Is that why you look so young? Do you use your own products? Because I'm not even going to tell people how old you are, but she's a lot older.
I'm sharing my age.
She looks amazing for her age. Amazing.
I'm staring down a barrel of 50. I'm 48.
Look at that. Look at that. Not that in any way 50 is old, you know, because I just don't see that. But I know you have to get that all the time, like that. You just look so useful, right? You look hydrated. You look well. You look healthy, you know?
Favorite conversation, the conversation that just made me scream and laugh and fall out was with a personal trainer who I see a lot. We kind of move in the same circles and I see her all the time. And I didn't know how old she was and she didn't know how old I was. And then one day we were talking, she was trying to train for, I think she was training for a competition or something. She was really meal prepping and I would see her like with her meals and she put her stuff away and everything. She's really, really balanced about everything she was eating. And I was telling her, I was like, how are you feeling? She's like, I feel a lot better. I have a lot more energy. And I said, you know what? You should think about really maybe trying to eat like that all the time. And she's like, I know, but I like to do this and I like to do that. And it was like a lot of partying and stuff, right? And I said, you know what? You must be young, because when you're young, that stuff's like super important to you. Like I gotta go out with friends and I need to get drunk. I need to do this and I need to do that. So I just kind of picked up on it and I said, you know what? When your bones start talking to you and when your joints start talking to you, like that, you're gonna change your conversation about that. And she says, well, your bones aren't talking to you. I mean, like, sweetie, I'm 48. And she's like, oh my God, I gotta get my life. She's like 25. She was so upset. She's like, we're around the same age. No, I'm old enough to be your mother. Yeah.
But what's my like physical age, or what's the my metabolic age? You know, your metabolic age is very, very different. Just because
my metabolic age is 23.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. I think 23-year-old in you is shining through. That is for sure. You have to have that kind of energy to keep the motivation to not only start a business. Starting a business takes audacity.
Oh my God. Energy.
Energy. And then like to level up and level up and level up, you know, your business, a lot of energy is needed. A lot of motivation is needed, you know? So the only way to do that is by fueling your machine properly, you know? And what other ways do you, other than food, what are some of the, and yoga, what are some of the other ways that you fuel yourself to keep this high energy so that you can do all these things?
To be honest, and this was something that I learned, I really learned it when I became a yoga teacher, was boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, boundaries. Yeah.
I have to keep boundaries because of the profession that I'm in. The profession can be a little codependent. You can have students and clients and people in your life who are constantly looking to share some of that energy, who are constantly looking, instead of cultivating energy of their own because they are unsure that they can, they just kind of want some of what you have. And so they're always around you and always on your phone and always in your classes. And I had to learn how to be loving, but also very firm about my boundaries. I had a great example. I had a teacher who was just amazing. I still am in such awe of her to this day. She always has a smile for you. She always has kindness for you, but she will tell you, thank you so much. I do not have the time to share right now. And she did it in such a way that you great. It was okay that she didn't have time for you. You still felt amazing. You were so happy just that she said that, you know.
And it's honest. It's honest, but it's not harsh.
But she taught me how to respect my own boundaries, how to respect my own energy vessel, so that when my energy was starting to deplete, I could very honestly say, this is not a good time.
Yeah.
Last week, I had to prepare for a very large presentation, and I had to be very clear and very honest that I needed time.
Yeah.
And so time was something that I had to gift myself because I was not in a position to gift other people. So basically, I was like, listen, unless something's burning down, please don't contact me. I love you. I will see you next week.
Yeah. It's fair enough. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but that is another part of society that we need to shake up, because this idea that we have to give of ourselves if there's nothing left to give, it's got to go. Like that part's got to go.
It's noble. No. We've been taught that it is noble for us to deplete ourselves for, especially women, for the good of the collective. We've been taught that we should empty our vessel for our spouses, for our children, for our parents, for our neighbors, for our community. We are always the last one to be served in that exchange of energy. And that is cultural. We're taught that in our country, in our society. That is what we're taught, that a good woman depletes herself, that it is noble to give up your life for the sake of another. We are taught that. We are not taught to take care of ourselves, which is why we are so far into the self-care bandwagon now, because people have discovered that, oh my God, I'm worthy of this. I deserve a break. I deserve boundaries. I deserve the ability to say no. No is a complete sentence. I tell people all the time, you do not have to explain yourself. You don't have to tell somebody why you said the word no. Just say the word no. No.
Yeah. This is powerful stuff. I mean, this is really powerful things to learn and things to adopt and things to apply. You know, these are ways to not only just improve your own physical body, but then your life, and then your relationships, and then your community. I mean, you really want to help your community, you got to really help yourself. Like that's where it has to start, you know. So
inside out. If you are the inside of the community, you have to take care of you so that you can create that healthy ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're sadly ending it's already been an hour. So I don't know how it happened. But I'm like, what do you mean? So I really want you to plug away. I want you to tell everyone where they can find you, where they can sign up for your cleanse, and, you know, buy your products and all that stuff. Please tell people where to find you.
Thank you. It's actually super easy to find me. You can find everything just by Googling my name. You can Google Shahada Karim. I have connected my name to everything in both companies. The nutrition and fitness company is Habibi Sport. The website is habibibodysport.com. And the skincare company is Habibi Bath and Body. The website is habibibody.com. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. We are pretty much everywhere. And my DMs are open. So if you ever have a question, please send me a DM at Shahada Karim on Instagram. I respond to all DMs. Even if to tell you that the question is not appropriate, that's fine. But I definitely have a very responsive social media platform, because sometimes that's the only way someone can find you. Sometimes it's somebody picking up a phone and going through Instagram and going, oh, can I reach out to this person? I 100% respond to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no excuses. So everyone, you just throw away your excuses. You've got the time, you got access to her, you know, it is absolutely affordable. It is something that anybody can afford. Just spend the money on yourself, invest in yourself, like do the things necessary to become the person that you want to be. And I can attest, I've done Shahada's cleanse a handful of times, my husband as well, and a bunch of my friends. And I learned so much. I still carry a lot of those nuggets with me, even though it's been years, you know, and invest in yourself. There's no reason not to. Yeah. You really, we only have one, you know, one vessel this time around. Take as good a care of it as you possibly can, you know, keep it, you know, so that you can look like Shahada when you're 50 years old and feel as good as her and have as much energy as her. You know, you got to do what she does to get what she has, you know, so yes. So I just thank you so much, Shahada. It's really, really, you know, it's lovely to see your face, because I haven't seen your face in a while, and wonderful to chat with you. And I just appreciate you coming on and sharing your light and your joy and your wisdom. And you know, you're definitely living your best life, you know, and just thank you for coming in. I know it's a busy week, but your time here was very appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, this has been another awesome week. My guest, Shahada Karim. My name is Susannah Sprague. This has been my Best Life podcast. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks, and you know, in the new year. I'll see everybody in the new year. Bye-bye.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.